Hey guys, Cloud here. So today I'm going to be watching kurzgesagt, Time, the History and Future of Everything Remastered. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to hit that notification bell to stay in tune with all my videos. And also, make sure to watch until the end. And also, shout out to kurzgesagt for making this video so I can watch it. So let's get on with the video.
Time makes sense in small pieces. But when you look at huge stretches of time, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around things.
Oh, you mean like 1,000 years, like 1 millennia?
So let's start small, with minutes, hours, days. You probably spent the last 24 hours mostly sleeping and working, and you probably wasted a good chunk of yesterday on the
Mostly it's sleep, interweb, and cup stacking.
internet. Days become weeks,
Well, actually,
weeks
I did
become
run
months,
3 miles today, so...
and then we have a year. Let's look at 2017. France started to train eagles to
12,017.
hunt terrorist drones. A Czech nuclear power plant held the usual stuff. Drones. A Czech nuclear power plant held a bikini contest to pick their new intern, and people on the internet made a challenge out of eating bleach.
Nope, please don't do the Tide Pod challenge.
You know, the usual stuff. Let's go back further. A kid born in the first year of the 21st century is 18 years old now.
Yeah,
But the century is still young, even if you're not.
So, The Sims was a long time ago. Wikipedia long. YouTube was created in 2005, and iPhone was created in 2007. Oh, Star Wars. There is no car in space. Ever. There's never been a car in space.
It was largely shaped by the attacks on 9/11, which led to the war in Afghanistan and the invasion of Iraq. In March 2011, the Syrian civil war began and is still ongoing after 7 years. Most of us were born in the 20th century, which had the two
Most people are born in the 20th century around 30 years old. 20 to 30, usually. And if they were born in 2000, then they'd be 18 if they celebrated it on April 8th. And also, yesterday was my birthday, so yeah.
most devastating wars in human history, and the Cold War. For the first time ever, we could destroy ourselves with nuclear weapons, and we almost did, but we also had a space race and left Earth for the first time. The internet was also invented, which led to memes, but also to Facebook and Twitter, so all in all, we're not sure if this was a good development. The average human lives about 79 years, which covers a good chunk of recent history. The oldest living person on Earth is currently Celino Jaramillo, who was born...
Was that actually a person? Because if this was posted it was posted a day ago or 0 days ago, a couple hours. Because the oldest person ever, Jean Calment. Well, I don't know officially. That's just by Guinness. But she lived 122 years. And if this is the person that's still alive, I don't think so, because that used to be a 117-year-old who was born in 1899, but died a couple months ago, or maybe 1 year ago. But that was the last person to live in
1896, which means that his birth was closer to Napoleon ruling Europe than to the current day. Only 250 years ago, the Industrial Revolution turned the world into a progress machine. Farmers became workers, and knowledge became easier to distribute. Around this time, we started the progress that is causing climate change today. Not that long ago, actually. The theory of evolution changed how we saw ourselves and the world we live in. Newton wrote down his theory of gravity. We discovered distant stars and very close bacteria. The 15th century was very eventful. Columbus's discovery of America and the
Columbus did not discover America. And also, Native Americans were there for hundreds of years longer, so anybody that thinks that, it's a misconception. Some people believe that because they maybe were taught that in school, but that is completely wrong. Because, have you heard the story when he got there, he saw other people? That means that he didn't discover it first. Those people did. Yeah, and also, I don't understand how the world would be flat. Because your house isn't technically flat. That doesn't make any sense.
The fall of Constantinople marked the end of the Middle Ages. War was all the rage in the Middle Ages, but the number one killer was disease. The Black Plague killed every third European in just 6 years.
Yep.
Around 2,000 years ago, we set the arbitrary year 1 of our calendar that most of the world follows today. But to a Roman, the world was already ancient. The Great Pyramids were constructed 4,500 years ago. So, to a Roman, the pyramids were older than the Romans are to us today. So long ago that there were still living mammoths on Earth. A lot of history happened before that even. Around 7,000 years ago, humans began writing things down. About 12,000 years ago, human organization exploded. We built our first temple, and around the world mankind began farming, which enabled the rise of larger communities. Our dominance over planet Earth really begins here. Homo sapiens sapiens, the modern human, evolved at least
Sapiens. I think it's sapiens.
200,000 years ago. 50,000 years ago, the cognitive revolution expanded our minds and innovation. Back then, we shared Earth with at least 5 other human species that either died out or were killed by us. At least 2 million years ago, our ancestors already had control over fire and constructed tools from wood and stone. And 6 million years ago, the last common ancestors of chimpanzees and humans existed. So this graph is all of human history.
Well, I just turned on my computer, so you might hear some sounds on that.
Our close relative Homo erectus survived 10 times longer than we have existed. This tiny part is the human era. We have to zoom in a lot to even see your lifetime.
Also, if you saw the ASAP Science video, the whole entire evolution of the world about 3.8 billion years into 24 hours, we've been alive for only 2 minutes compared to the whole 24 hours.
Still, all of human history is not that long. 65 million years ago, the age of the dinosaurs ended in an enormous explosion. The dinosaur...
And also, I do not know if it's actually an asteroid. I believe it's an asteroid, but the theory of some mammals eating the eggs did that is just weird.
Ruled the Earth for over 165 million years. 27 times as long as all humans. That's so long that it means a T-Rex that lived 65 million years ago is closer to us today than to a live Stegosaurus. Dinosaurs in the form of mighty chickens are still around today. Animal life on this planet started 600 million years ago. The earliest animals were fish and other small simple sea creatures, then came insects, then reptiles, and finally, around 200 million years ago, mammals joined the party. Life itself began much further back. There is evidence that it appeared up to 4.1 billion years ago. For at least 3.5 billion years, life consisted only of single-celled organisms. 4.5 billion years ago, the Sun was born from a gigantic imploding gas cloud. 60 million years later, Earth formed. In those early years, frequent bombardment by comets and asteroids supplied the Earth with large oceans. But as far as the whole universe goes, our solar system is pretty new. 13.75 billion years ago, the universe was born, and about 500 million years later, our own galaxy formed from billions of stars. But what came before the Big Bang? The truth is, we don't know, and maybe we never will. And there you have it, the past. Now let's take a look at what we know about the future. In roughly 1 billion years, the sun will be so hot that life on Earth becomes impossible. The death.
And how do you know this? Kind of explain that, because this could be a complete myth in the future.
Of the sun 4 billion years later marks the end of life in the solar system. If we want to have a chance to survive, we need to have ventured to the stars. And what happens after that? In the next 100 billion years, most of the bigger stars around will die. The universe becomes dimmer and dimmer, illuminated only by smaller red and white dwarfs. But they too will eventually burn out, and one day, the last star in the universe will die.
I think that would probably be in like 100 trillion years, because a trillion years, that's really not that long if you think about it. For how long the universe has been here, 1 trillion years is not that long. 100 trillion, that completely changes.
The universe will turn dark, and at some point, even black holes will evaporate and die. When they do,
Wait, so wouldn't that mean that would be impossible? Wait, so do all the stars just disappear? Or do they just dim in? Because if they just dim, make it darker, then humans could still live.
Our universe will reach its final stage, heat death. Nothing changes anymore, the universe is dead. Forever. Now, you're feeling some pretty weird feelings right now, aren't you? We are too. It's only natural. The good news is, this is all far, far away. The only time that actually matters is now. That cute girl or boy you like, ask them out. Time is precious. Make it count. One of the questions we get asked the most.
Well, guys, that's the end of the video. Bye.